And welcome back to Nancy's Neighborhood, folks. And I'm just so thrilled that these two friends of mine decided to come out today because it's pouring rain outside. And we've all run in through the rain to get here today. But this is Chamber of Commerce Day. So Melissa Woody is with me, and she's the Director of Tourism for the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
And we got a lot of exciting things happening in tourism. So kick us off with the one that's the closest event to the date to today.
Yes, and may I just say that it is a very bad hair day because it is pouring out.
We have all run through
I told
the rain.
Nancy that my hair looks awful,
And we don't care because
yeah.
we ran through the rain to get here.
That's right. It's the natural look.
That's right.
We have got an exciting event coming up on March the 3rd. That's Sunday afternoon from 2 to 4 is the Sweet Singing at the Museum Center at 5 Points. And that is programming at the museum to support the Redback Hymnal exhibit that we were very fortunate to have space committed by the museum.
Yes.
For, and we opened that exhibit in November of 2015 in anticipation of the State Department of Tourist Development launching a music trail for the state of Tennessee. And so the budget for the state kept putting that trail off. But really, it was pretty good for us because we were able to establish something that people could come to on a regular basis. I mean, you can't be on the Civil War Trail if you don't have some markers or some places that people can visit and see. So you can't be on a music trail if you don't have a venue or something that people can come see on a regular basis. You can't just say, oh, we have a singing every once in a while. You have to have something more tangible. And so we knew that we were going to have to, put something like an exhibit or some information out somewhere. So we worked on that exhibit for about 2 years, and then finally had something put up and opened it in 2015. Well, this past budget year, Tennessee finally passed the budget to support the development and the launching of Tennessee Music Pathways.
Fantastic.
Which is the trail across Tennessee. And the premise is that there are about 7 different genres of music that have roots in Tennessee. You think about blues, rockabilly in Jackson area, blues in Memphis, country, gospel, all these different bluegrass, all these different musical styles have had their roots in Tennessee. And our story here is that we are the home of the Redback Hymnal. The church hymnal is what it's actually, the title is. And it came in print in 1951 from Tennessee Music and Printing Company, which now has evolved into Pathway Press.
Okay.
So Tennessee Music and Printing printed all kinds of music and convention booklets and songbooks, but in 1951 they began printing this hymnal. And it had a red cover on it, thus the nickname or the affectionate name, the Redback Hymnal. So even if it's green, it's still the Redback Hymnal.
And I think mine is green, matter of fact.
But we borrow them sometimes for singings, and there's a whole faction of them that come in boxes and they're green.
Right.
But we love it because that's part of the history of it. And so at the time that we were doing this exhibit, the museum committed this permanent space for this part of our local roots in this music heritage. And so when the pathway was launched, the first round of official locations included the Museum Center at 5 Points.
Fantastic.
So yeah, I know you can tell that I'm
You
super
were very
excited about
and
it.
I think that's great.
Yes.
And I love the exhibit because just about every time I go in the museum, I go back there, I put on the headphones, and I punch one of those buttons so I can listen to one of those songs. The one I love is I'll Fly Away, but that's, you don't have to listen to that one every time.
Yes.
So it's a really great exhibit. And the thing about it is, you can participate. Now, I've never sung along because I'm thinking, I've got earphones on, but I don't have, everybody else doesn't have on earphones. But it's really a great exhibit.
It is, and we're so proud of it. And it's something that we can always kind of evolve and add to, and the programming is really important because it supports that exhibit. It supports what we're trying to do at the museum center. Let people know what their history is right here in our own home, and so with that exhibit getting us on that trail, it's really significant because you think about it. if you can be on a larger trail that someone else is promoting, that the Department of Tourist Development for Tennessee is putting money into, you can be on a Civil War trail that the civilwartrails.org is putting money into, you can be on various projects, well then that's definitely worth the effort and the money to be a part of something
Right.
like that, so that it can be larger, have a larger marketing base and broader reach.
Okay, so March the 3rd.
March the 3rd.
We're going to have a
and-
big time.
Yes, and that'll be the second or third singing that's been at the Museum
Mm-hmm.
Center, and it's called a sweet singing because we're going to provide desserts
Oh, good.
for everybody. And this one is going to be a little different than the last one we had. We're having it inside, and the grand piano is going to be in the middle, and everybody's going to be circled in rows around it.
Wow.
And Jack Clark, a lot of people know Jack
Oh, gosh,
Clark.
yes.
He's been on many, many recordings
Yes.
for gospel music. And Jack will be playing the piano. We're going to have two song leaders. Jim Burns, Dr. Jim Burns is going to lead 1 hour, and Reverend Kevin Mendel
Okay, good.
will lead the next hour. And then we're also going to have two guests, Shirley Purifory, Jermaine's mama.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, folks, that woman can flat lay it down. She is amazing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Shirley.
Fantastic.
And then we have, in the second hour, we have a quartet that's going to sing 2 songs. Each of them are going to sing 2 songs.
Okay.
And we're going to have the quartet singing, some buddies of mine from First Baptist, and we're looking forward to hearing them as well. And then the rest of it is pretty much going to be us singing around it out of the hymnal.
Well, I have loved going to these Redback hymnal singings. I've been doing it for about 2 years now when they have different churches have them. I was raised a Methodist, still am Methodist. We didn't have a Redback hymnal, and a lot of the songs in the Redback hymnal I'd never seen or heard until the Gaithers started doing their little things that they
Yes.
did. And then I just fell in love with the Gaither music. So so I have thoroughly enjoyed going to these Redback hymnals. I've got a hymnal
It's
now, so-
really a lot of fun.
It is.
And the funny thing is, I think, well, I grew up with this music. I know this music. Well, then we sing some obscure song that Jim, Burns finds or Jack Clark finds, and it's like, wow, I don't know this one. And sometimes they're hard.
Yes, they are.
But they're so much fun, and it's just so sweet to be able to sit around with folks and have a love for, a common love for this book.
It
and
is
so
wonderful,
this is
yes.
going to be 2 to 4 on March the 3rd. That's a Sunday afternoon. And we thank the museum for doing this programming. Janice Nyman is an amazing executive director for the
She is.
museum.
She
She's
is.
wonderful, and her passion for this area and for this museum is just so evident. And she's just a joy to work with.
Yes,
and she
she
grew
is.
up on this music too, so she's
Oh, okay.
she likes it. And then Jack Clark also coordinates. That you were mentioning the singings. He coordinates 3 singings in the spring and 3 singings in the fall at different churches. So
Right.
we usually post about those on our Facebook page. Visit Cleveland TN has a Facebook page. So if you're not a fan, be sure and go on and like us. We've got over 12,000
I'm
fans
not sure I am.
on there.
I need to.
Yeah, you need to like us.
Visit TN.
Visit Cleveland TN. And then our website is visitclevelandtn.com.
Okay.
And we post about events that are coming up. Mary Tom Jenkins Cox, she works in my department, and she knows everything that's going on.
That's
so
good.
she posts about everything.
That is very good.
And also puts it on our website. So be sure and check that out.
How many people do you anticipate being there Sunday the 2nd?
Well,
or
we
the 3rd.
had-
I'm sorry, the 3rd.
We had a really good crowd the last time we did it. We had more people, guests that were singing, and we got some feedback, and folks said, oh, we want to sing along more.
Yes.
So we're gearing it toward that
Okay.
this time. But the last time we had probably 200 people, and there was a threat of bad weather. We were going to have it outside,
I
kind of like
remember
dinner
that,
on the
yes,
grounds.
yes.
But we had to move it inside. So this time we're going to save ourselves a lot of stress and just have it inside.
understand. I understand.
And it's going to be a real sweet time. I'm excited
I
about
think
it.
that's great. My plans right now are to be there
Yay.
and bring my little green Redback hymnal.
Yes.
But because I had to buy mine, because I didn't have. I grew up with the Methodist hymnal, so.
Yes.
But I love this music. It is so much fun to sing, and it's like you say. Sometimes you think, "Oh, this is going to be pretty simple," and you start looking at it and you think, well, now which part is mine? And I
Yes.
sing it, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I'm an
I enjoy it.
alto, and so it's like, whoa, I'm lost.
Well, and I'm a soprano, but sometimes the tenors have the soprano line, and the sopranos are supposed to be there, and I'm going, okay, I'm not sure what, but it's fun.
Well, and it's also shape note singing. So
Yes.
that's a big history in musical genres, especially, the gospel music
Right.
genre, and that was a way to go around and teach people how to sing gospel songs.
Right.
And so I read music for a long time when I was a kid, I didn't even realize it was shaped because I read the music and I just
Right.
I didn't know why the shapes were there, but now I've learned a lot about that. So.
And I went to the museum had a shape note singing school
Yes.
a couple of weeks ago, and I went to that, and it was very interesting because I learned I can sight read just about anything you put in front of me on the piano or vocally, but I was just lost, but I had a good time.
Yeah. We started singing one in shape notes one time, and I was very lost.
Yes.
So, but it's so neat to learn about
It
it.
is, and
be
that was
involved in
fun.
it.
And the people that were teaching it were very understanding to those of us that were having a hard time with it. So, and I really had a great time. So this is
fun.
Sunday, March the 3rd, from 2
Yes.
to 4 at the museum. Do you need to call ahead, or you need to do anything?
Nope.
Just show up.
Just show up. Show
Okay.
up. And we would, of course, love for folks to join the museum. I sound like I work
Yes.
for the museum, but I work for our community,
Right.
and I really love our museum. It's a treasure in our town, and so the only way that treasures like that are able to thrive is if we support them.
That's exactly right.
Being able to join. If you like the fact that there's a Redback hymnal exhibit there and they're having some gospel singings, then join the museum.
That $35 for an
That's right.
individual, and that's
For a year, and you get discounts at some local businesses.
and
so
you
that
get a
pays for your
discount in the gift
membership.
shop there, and you get, and then when they have events, now this one, the 3rd, is free for everybody, but sometimes it's free for museum members and so much more for
Right.
non-members. So it pays for itself in a year.
Yes, it does. And if you are signing up, make a little note that it's because of the Redback hymnal
Yes.
exhibit, because that would be a nice little punch and support for those kinds of
It would
programs.
be. It really would be.
Yeah.
And my producer is telling me we're running, and I'm not a bit surprised that we're running out of time. So I've got to get Melissa back on here to talk about, just give us a real quick update about Charleston, what's going on there.
Yes, many of you probably know that we have been expanding the Heritage Center in Charleston. So we've been closed for several months, but we just got the certificate of occupancy. So the construction on the Heritage Center is finished.
Good.
Now we have to load in the exhibit. We're working with the McClung Museum at UT Knoxville
Wow.
to borrow some artifacts and have a lending agreement with them, and we're also working with the curator who is on staff at MTSU's Center for Historic Preservation. So we've got some wonderful people working on these exhibits with us. We're in the process right now of getting those set up, and then also the trail section
Right.
that goes from the Heritage Center to the public park is the trail itself is finished, but we're putting up, we just got the interpretive signs shipped. And of course, it's pouring the rain.
Of course it is.
And never stopping. But
Right.
but as soon as it dries out, we'll be able to put those. And I hope it's before the opening, because we've got a public open house on March 30th.
Oh,
and
wow.
the night before that, there is going to be research presented at Walker Valley Auditorium, 6:30 that night, by Dr. Brett Riggs, who's been studying Fort Cass, the area around
Oh, wow.
Charleston, for 2 years. And he is going to put together a comprehensive presentation that night, March the 29th at 6:30. That's open to the public, so everybody can just show up, and then the next day we're going to have an open house for the Heritage Center.
Fantastic. So I probably need to get you on between now and
Yes.
then so we can talk about it again. And
Yes.
that's all we talk about. But Melissa, thank you so much for being. I always love having you on, and we always fill the time and never, don't have a problem filling the time. So
Yeah. Between you and I don't think
yeah,
we would ever have a problem.
we can do it. We can do it. And if I don't see you again, I'll see you on March the 3rd at the Museum Center between 2 and 4 for the Redback Hymnal singing.
Sounds great.
Thank you, Gail. Folks, don't go away. I'll be back with some other announcements of things that are coming up. So watch our commercials, support our sponsors because they pay our bills, and I'll be right back.